What's up everybody, welcome back to Double T Gaming. Hope everyone is having a great day today, and on this day we're going to be looking at the updated roadmap for Ascension's Bronzebeard, as it has changed up several times since my last video on it. And we're also about to get into November so we can see what's on the horizon throughout the rest of 2025. Now real quick, if you haven't already, sub to the channel for everything Classic Plus. I cover Bronzebeard, Turtle, Blizzard, and any shred of hope we have left for Project Epoch. But anyway, let's get into it. So first, if you are not a part of Ascension's Discord, I recommend going ahead and joining that and following every major update channel for Bronzebeard and Ascension. That's where major news gets dropped, and it gets dropped pretty frequently. Like how over the last few days, they have done their best to mitigate DDoS issues, upgrade authentication servers, basically everything they can do to fix player lag and crashes, so hopefully we should see improvement this week in that regard. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the roadmap, and this is available on the official Ascension website that I will leave in the description. They have a great timeline section for all of their servers, but of course Bronzebeard is the only one I think with anything material right now. Now I looked at this on stream Friday morning, and at that point we actually had a date for Molten Core on here being roughly 1 to 2 weeks after Zul'Gurub, so early to mid-November in a couple weeks. But that has actually since been removed completely, like you'll see in a second. But the Ascension team made it a point to announce in the last update that they've seen community feedback of releases being too fast. And they countered that with the fact that it's typical of Ascension to front load first tier content releases, so there's a healthy dose of things to do to start on the server. And just more lockouts overall. And they did say the entire content plan will not be rushed. So keep that in mind as we go through this and maybe speculate on some of these dates. And again, this has been updated several times in the last 72 hours, so this is all very subject to change, so be sure to keep up with the website if you want to know what's up to date. But let's go ahead and start with a rehash of where we are right now on Bronzebeard. Now the server launched on October 3rd, so a few weeks ago, when we were approaching 1 month since launch. So as of today, October 27th, since launch, we have Heroic Vanilla Dungeons, the Blackrock Caverns Dungeon, which is basically just the 1-to-1 copy of the Cataclysm version added in. The Hollow's End event has also begun. Be sure to get your experience bonus in Goldshire or Razor Hill, along with the custom world boss Cetus out in Silithus, as well as Your Ghost being released over the weekend as well. And if you do not see how world bosses now work in Bronzebeard, bottom line, they have changed it so in PvE mode, it is now an instant encounter for your raid. And in PvP mode, only the tagging group will get credit for it, and it will have some extra Bloodforge drops. Also, over the weekend, we had the Crow's Cache for PvP mode being released, which is kind of like a Gurubashi style free-for-all type chest that only high-risk players can actually loot, and when they loot it, they get an item in their bag that gives them a debuff where they can't mount or teleport in any way until they make it back to a town. Even though high risk is the only one that can actually loot the cache, both war mode and high risk can actually battle for it, and they earn runes of Ascension, so if you're helping out your friend, you don't have to be in high risk, you just be in war mode to help with that PvP event. And the actual cache itself contains tons of major Bloodforge gear as well as high quality crafting materials, and this happens every 3 hours. So that's where we are today. Now let's look at what we have coming up. In just a couple of days, on October 29th, we have PvP Progression 1, which is bringing a reset to the rankings as well as new PvP gear. And October 31st, we wrap up Hollow's End with the Day of the Dead holiday. Then next weekend, November 1st, we have Zul'Gurub being released. Now originally, if you remember in the first roadmap, this would have been released this past weekend. So now that has moved back to the 1st. Once again, this is flex raiding on Bronzebeard, so this is for 10 to 25 players, as are all other raids. So this is the part where we are really hoping that they've solved some of these disconnect issues, especially during peak times. I think I have yet to play peak time on stream where I haven't been disconnected at least once over a 3 to 4 hour playtime, and they'll be catching probably a lot of heat if raids aren't even stable enough to complete at all, especially for those who may be doing some type of challenge with them. But following Zul'Gurub on the 1st, November 5th, we'll have Kazakh being released, of course being a majorly buffed version from the actual vanilla Kazakh. And a couple of days later on the 7th, the custom world boss Sogoth in Darkshore will also be released. Now past Sogoth is when we actually stop getting official dates, but I still think we will be getting Molten Core in November. Again, like I said, this was slated to release within like 1 to 2 weeks of ZG originally, so I think it was actually November 15th. Then I think people started saying that was way too fast for raids, so they most likely pushed that back another week or so. So I'm thinking maybe the 22nd for Molten Core, and then depending on that, probably the same week, we'll be getting Mythic 0 for vanilla dungeons, and this behaves similar to how Mythic does in retail WoW, with new bosses and mechanics with Mythic level gear. Then probably a week or so after that, so early December most likely, we'll be getting Mythic 10 dungeons with time trials available, giving you rewards based on the level Mythic key you complete. Now just a quick personal sidebar for me, I've never been the biggest fan of Mythic Plus dungeons in WoW. I'm good with just the normal, heroic, and Mythic level difficulties, but honestly when you start getting into the Mythic Plus with keystones and everything, that kind of loses me a little bit, but that's just my opinion. I totally get the appeal of it. It is a huge part of the game right now, and I can't say that I'm not looking forward to doing vanilla dungeons on Mythic Plus at least. I think that'll be really fun. But after Mythic 10, we'll get the Nightmare Dragon releases being in Duskwood, Fairless, Hinterlands, and Ashenvale. scenario. Mid to probably later December, we'll be getting Onyxia's Lair. Of course, again, 10 to 25 players for this. And after Onyxia's Lair, we'll be getting PvP Progression 1.5. So I'm not sure exactly how Ascension has done their PvP phases in the past on other servers. This kind of speaks for itself, being the halfway point to PvP phase 2. I'm thinking maybe a 4-month cycle for seasons for it, so 2 months post phase 1 will still be around the kind of late December timeline. After the PvP 1.5 release, I'm thinking we'll hopefully be in January by now, and then we'll get our next batch of content, that being Mythic 15s, as well as a new world boss named Atal Zul, Reaper of Souls, being located in northern eastern Plaguelands, dropping item level 72 gear. Then finally, the last thing we have on this roadmap is BWL Blackwing Lair. Now in that same update I mentioned earlier where they talked about kind of front-loading content on Ascension, they also said that they wanted a healthy gap for BWL, just so it kind of airs out first level content a bit. So I'm thinking maybe to account for that gap they want before the BWL, I'm thinking maybe a late-ish February release date for this raid. I seriously hope and doubt that we will be getting everything on this page just in 2025, because at that point it will definitely be rushed. I think each raid needs at least 4 to 5 weeks of breathing room before pushing out the second, maybe even more. Now nothing on the level of Classic or Anniversary where it's like double-digit weeks between raids, but also nothing like the original 1 to 2 weeks we saw between ZG and Molten Core. And yes, I do realize ZG is meant to be a catch-up type raid, which was originally released after BWL launch, but I think there's a good chunk of people on Bronzebeard that didn't want phase 1 to just be Molten Core Simulator again, so having some time dedicated just to Zul'Grub, as a lot of folks may have skipped it in their original iterations of Classic because they didn't really need it, could help with some player retention maybe. So overall for the raid releases, Zul'Grub on the 1st of November, maybe 3 to 4-ish weeks after that for Molten Core, since CG is more of a minor raid, and another 4-ish weeks going into December for Onyxia. Sprinkle in some world bosses between and after Onyxia, then another month and some change I think for BWL, I think maybe a February release date. Then after BWL is out, within 4 months of the actual launch of the server, we'll have 4 raids a week to do, being ZG, Molten Core, Onyxia's Lair, and Blackwing Lair, and several world bosses to do, like a lot of them. But past that ZG release, again, this is all just my speculation at this point, this thing is updated almost weekly now, and again, if they aren't able to get the lag and DCs under control, especially when raids do launch, I understand first day it'll probably be pretty bad, but past that, if they still can't get it during peak hours, they're going to be catching a lot of heat, and I can see there's going to be a lot of people frustrated about it. But anyway, let me know the dates you all are thinking for the roadmap. It looks like at least I'll try to get to Onyxia within the calendar year and then pause a little bit before BWL. Do you guys think that's too fast? Do you think it's too slow? Or do you think it's just right? Now real quick before I go, I just wanted to say thank you all for all the support over the last couple of months on the channel. Since I started posting videos again, we have gained almost 2,000 subscribers now, and I've had thousands and thousands of comments, and overall have gotten really just positive feedback and have built up a little tight-knit community for ourselves that I am really proud of. And I can't wait to see what happens next. But if you do have any suggestions on what you might want to see next for the channel, please feel free to leave that in the comments below. I am finally almost level 60 on Bronzebeard. I know, meme on me all you want, I am a very slow leveler these days. Back in my prime though, you should have seen me. But I'll get there, and then we can get into the fun stuff. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. This is Double T Gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next video.